And we have Paul coming in from Combos with Curtis. How are you doing, Paul?
I'm well. Let me see if I can get my video going here. There we go. Hey, there I am.
Look at I recognize that guy. You were on a game once,
Yeah, it
weren't you?
was. Yeah, it was indeed.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself,
You want me to go first?
please?
Oh, okay, good. So it's nice to meet you guys. Thank you so much for having me. I feel a little like an imposter in terms of having any kind of uh, um, you know any kind of understanding of the world of the adventure games, but I'm learning a lot and having a great time. And the reason I'm here is 26 years ago, I starred as Curtis Craig in Sierra Online's Phantasmagoria 2, Puzzle of Flesh. And so I worked as an actor and was very, kind of at the early stages of my career back then. And that was a big deal. And I got to do this awesome experience. And then I kind of forgot about it. And then a lot of time went by, and now I'm kind of revisiting it and having fun.
Well, it's not just that though. Like, yes, that's kind of what started you, what brought you into our mindset, our eye, if you will. But
Yeah.
you also do a great little show that on YouTube that you call Convos with Curtis.
Yeah.
Yeah, tell us
Yeah.
about that. And before you actually do that, let me say you're in no way an imposter. Literally, you were at the first round of people that when Jack and I were talking, who do we book to come on? And that was right there, right there.
Oh, that's great.
So,
I appreciate it. This is something I never, this is all COVID related. This, I just, one of the, there's a lot of, I don't know, in my world, I feel a little bit blessed that certainly not all the horrible things that happened with COVID, but having to shut down and reassess and to not have everything that I was used to being available to me, going away and having to kind of rethink some things. So essentially what happened was, I work as an actor, I work as a public speaker. So everything I do is in front of a live audience, and that all went away in 2020, 2021. And I was very restless. And over the years, I guess I have to backtrack a little bit. As an actor, I got that job. That game felt like it had some real momentum, and then it ultimately didn't go anywhere, and the FMV world kind of shortly thereafter disappeared. So not being a gamer myself, I just never thought much about it. I went on with my career. I do mostly theater, and just kind of kept doing that. I couldn't play the game. I didn't have the computers, so I never played it. I saw some footage from it, but that was it. So all these years go by. And then with the YouTube streaming, all of a sudden I'm starting to get a lot of people reaching out to me saying, the Spoonie Let's Play was a huge thing. And so I'm getting a lot of people kind of responding, reaching out to me, and I didn't know how to respond. So all that said, year and a half ago, I had this moment of like, oh, it's COVID. It turns out this is the 25th anniversary of the making of the game. I've never talked about it. So I just kind of put a little feeler out through my I have a small performing arts company called Letters Aloud. I put a little video out saying, hey, I'm interested in chatting about this. I got a huge response. So I just did one episode where I just came out and said who I am, and this is my memories. I did a live Q&A, and that went really well. And then I thought, well, why don't I just start reaching out to all the people who made it? This was a huge game. And so I reached out to the director and the writer and the editor and composer. So every month I did a new interview, and we just created sort of an oral history project of the making of Phantas 2, which was awesome. And people were so cool. It's great to get their memories, and just we learned so much about it and about Sierra, and just all these, just these people are talented and fascinating. So that kind of went on throughout the whole year. And then I thought I was going to wrap it up, but then I thought, well, I've never played the game before, so why don't we stream me playing the game? And then we did that. That took weeks and weeks because it was a blast. And then I'd never played Phantasmagoria 1, so I reached out to the actress who was the star of that, Victoria Morcell, and so she agreed to play the game. So we streamed playing Phantas 1. So just this thing kept going, and then you know, I started to talk to more and more creators. I'm looking at your list and I'm so proud. I've already talked to, you know, Robert Holmes, and I just last week talked to Dave Gilbert and Sam Barlow. And so I'm, you know, it's really fun for me to come at this from outside the gaming world and just talk about, I don't know, I just like the creative side of things. And I think I'm able to get a slightly different perspective from these creators than maybe other gaming hosts might do, just because of my background.
Yeah, you've got that shared experience with them. So
right.
How on earth does it come about that you wind up in Phantasmagoria 2? You were an actor already, right?
Yeah. I was up here. Yeah, I was living in Seattle, Washington, which is where I'm at now. I ended up moving down to LA for a number of years after Phantas 2, but I was living there, kind of just got out of graduate school. I was working for maybe 2 or 3 years. And I had 2 really good theater jobs lined up around the country, and I was so excited about them. And then I get this call from my agent here in Seattle saying, hey, there's a audition for a video game. It's kind of a big deal. You should go in. And I looked at the dates. I'm like, well, I'm already booked. I can't do it. And she goes, no, you really should. At least you should meet the people. You probably wouldn't get it because it's, you know, a lot of, you know, they're looking in LA and all this stuff, but go in. And what I didn't know was that they had already hired an actor down in LA to play the role. And there were some contract things at the end. So they were scrambling to find a Curtis Craig. They just had, you know, they lost the guy that they had. So they were doing a quick, fast, you know, audition process. So I went in, and I think part of the acting world is if you care too much, that there's a desperation that shows up in your approach.
Yeah.
And I didn't care because I had work. And so I kind of was just doing my agent a favor. And I went in, I read, I could tell right away they liked me. And I'm like, oh no, I don't know if I want to do this. And I had only seen, you know, some of the sides. So I didn't really know the story or everything about it. But it went very quickly. And I'd say, you know, I have a journal, and when if anybody wants to watch the very first conversation with Curtis, I share like my journal entries or my calendar entries of like the audition dates and stuff, which is kind of fun. But I think a week later or a couple of days later, I went in for a callback, and then they offered me the part, and that normally doesn't happen that quickly. So it was a moment where I honestly didn't know if I wanted to do it, but it was a SAG gig, and when I realized I was going to be in every scene, it was going to be what they thought was going to be a 3 or 4 month gig, which was a lot, turned into almost 6 months. So it was a payday for me that I had never had before.
Yeah.
And it was a chance to work in front of the camera every single day. You know, having come from the stage, it was a chance for me to really cut my teeth on what felt like a film. You know, they filmed it.
Yeah.
They filmed it like a movie. So ultimately I took it, and I'm so glad I did. It was a great experience.
So you mentioned that Phantasmagoria 2 was kind of filmed like a movie, and I was going to ask, you know, you've done film, TV, stage. Were there any specific challenges to working in the video game format? Was your approach to your performance any different, or?
Yeah, it was, because it was you know, it was all these all the scenes were just these short little, you know, hits. I mean, I think I'm surprised looking at it now how long some of the scenes are, but at the time they just felt really, you know, you just go in, you talk to Trevor in the cubicle, you have a couple of lines, and then you're out. And so it's all these short little scenes. So that was interesting. There was a ton of repetition, you know, all the scenes with everybody in their cubicle just over and over and over again, all the scenes at the restaurant or at the club. It just, you know, they had to cover so much to, you know, so that the player could have consistency. And that was a part, I'd never played a game before, so I didn't know what the format was going to look like for how it was going to ultimately be experienced. So yeah, there was a lot. And then, you know, I joke around about all the fidgeters, you know, they're all, you know, when you have to stand in the room, if the player decides to go get a couple coffee or something, that Curtis is just standing there kind of waiting for you to come back. So we had to film all these moments of me just kind of, you know, looking around and checking my watch or whatever, you know, so that was kind of fun and unique.
That's really neat. So do you ever get recognized as Curtis?
Never once.
Not once.
Never once. It's crazy. I know, it's funny though. There was a guy, in fact, I just saw him recently, an actor in town, a couple years ago. I mean, again, this is maybe just a little bit before I started conversations with Curtis, but we were in a, you know, I think we did a reading together, and I'd known him, you know, we had run into each other, but he had that moment of like, wait a minute, or because he was a total gamer. So he was like, you're in this thing. And so that was fun. But no, I've hardly ever gotten that. You know, online I do now. People kind of are finding it. But it's been really fun. I mean, I'm finding, I just spoke to Pascal in the waiting room, and the overwhelming majority of our audience are people who were playing Phantas 2 when they were teenagers, when they shouldn't have been playing it. They were sneaking it behind their parents' backs.
Oh, yeah.
And it made this huge impression on them that they still have a real, you know, nostalgic feel for. So it's hilarious to over and over again hear like, I was 13 and I can't believe I did that. You know, I was up till midnight doing this stuff. So it's fun.
Have you ever played a role, anything like that? A guy whose life is coming completely unglued? That must have been, I'm kind of imagining what your audition must have been like.
Yeah, you know, I don't, gosh, I don't even, you know, I wasn't, again, those scenes were so short, so I think I probably did 3 or 4 of the scenes. I know that they brought the actor who played Therese, her name's Rachna, and she's from Iceland, and she's actually the only person that I stayed in touch with. She and I are very good friends. I'm good friends with her husband. She and I were brought in for callback, so they wanted to do a chemistry test with us. So I remember sitting in the waiting room with her. I hadn't seen her around, but I didn't know her. So it was one of those like, hey, nice to meet you. We're going to go in and do this erotic scene. Let's see what happens. But yeah, you know, I think I'm pretty good at playing the regular guy, you know, and that maybe there's something underneath going on. So that didn't surprise me that I played that that the, you know, director saw that immediately in me, that I think I underplay pretty well. I think I'm able to just be present in the moment. And Curtis really is a cipher, you know, he doesn't do a lot. A lot happens to him and he takes it all in, you know? So I think, and that's important for a main character of a game, because if you're seeing the world through that person's eyes, that person can't be too big or broad, because, you know, so yeah, I think part of that was me to just have to, you know, my job was to really not bring too much, not overact, you know, and not to make it too big. Yeah.
Well, you didn't bring too much to those scenes, but you've brought a lot to this scene that we have today. We really appreciate you coming on. Before you go, quick question though.
Yeah.
What do you think of Phantasmagoria now that you actually played it years later?
You know, that's a great question. I've always felt it was, there were moments, I mean, I'm a bit of a snob. I come from the theater. I've done a lot of classical theater. I care deeply about language, and I care deeply about story and how it's told, and I love subtlety, and this was not subtle. This was fairly, you know, there was a lot going on, but I've learned so much playing the game and talking to people who played it. Once you're playing the game, it does create a mood that I wasn't expecting. Being stuck at work late at night and all, it really does feel this sort of a horror movie within an office environment. That was new. I loved playing and seeing like the mental part that he was going through, because he doesn't know if he's the murderer or not. He doesn't know if it starts with him in an insane asylum. So and he's being released. And so is he crazy, or is he actually seeing this stuff? That was really cool to watch, you know. And one of the things that really, you know, I've heard over and over again was how this game, more than any other game, embraced a kind of, I don't know, an open attitude towards otherness, towards homosexuality, towards bisexuality, towards you know, kink culture. It passed no judgment on any of that, unlike so many of the other games that were coming out in the 90s. So people really found solace in this game, that Curtis was kind of open to anything, including maybe being in love with his best friend. And that was a huge deal for them. So to know that there were so many other things going on underneath that I wasn't aware of at the time, just because I was trying to, you know, just get the next job. I feel pretty proud of that. I feel very, very lucky to have been a part of that, you know.
Well, Paul Stetler, if I saw you on the street, I would recognize you, and I would say hi.
Now.
Yes. And hopefully you get that tomorrow now, my friend.
Well, hey, good luck. How exciting is this? Are you guys, this time you're getting such a, it seems like immediately you're getting embraced by a wide community. You're offering something that I think seems to be absolutely, people are hungry for. And I'm really excited to see what you guys come up with. This is going to be great.
Thanks.
It's all Jack.
Yeah.
It's all
No, not true at all.
That was
Follow
great.
him at Convos with Curtis. Hey, say exactly how to find your YouTube channel.
Yeah, it's Conversations with Curtis. That's it. Just on our YouTube channel, we got tons of content of again that oral history project. But we're doing live streams pretty much bi-weekly now, where I'm playing, and I've also tracked down the actress Victoria Marcel Hemmingson, and she and I, one day a week, we play some of these old FMV games together. So it's like Adrian and Curtis are now the Sculler and Mulder and Scully, you know, playing these games, because we never played these games before. So our audience is getting a real kick out of watching us stumble through these games that they all have such a fondness for. So we pretty much do that twice a week. We'd love to have people come join us. We right now we're live streaming on Twitch and YouTube. And then, you know, I just keep doing these interviews and got to talk to Graham Devine. And so it's really fun. I'm just going to more and more fun people I get to talk to as well. So,
well, thanks for joining us, my friend. You have a wonderful day. And
yeah, you too, guys. Nice to meet you all. All right.
YouTube
take it easy. Now I got to figure out how to get out of here. All right. I'll see you.
All right. That was Curtis. That was Curtis. And that was a conversation with Curtis.